Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cynthia Manion Show. I'm so excited you're here for tonight's special episode. We're joined by two incredible sisters who are making a big impact, one in wellness, the other in publishing. Kymberly Taylor is the editor-in-chief of Annapolis Home Magazine and co-founder of the Taylor Haywood Media. She's a journalist, a poet, and a storyteller who's been shaping the conversation around design and lifestyle across the Mid-Atlantic USA.
Did you write that?
Her sister, Rachel Taylor, is president of Athena Stone and the founder of Shed, a stunning wellness space in Annapolis, Maryland, USA that brings together cold plunge, Sonia, red light therapy, yoga, massage, and more. After facing her own health challenges, Rachel created Shed as a place to help people truly relax, release, and shed. They've each carved their own path, but both lead with vision, purpose, and creativity. A shout out to our dear Grace Cavalieri, who graciously orchestrated this event. And please help me welcome Kymberly and Rachel Taylor. Woo! Oh my gosh, ladies, it's so wonderful to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah.
They're so fabulous. Sisters. How many sisters do we have out there? And here comes Grace. Oh, God bless you, my Grace. We're so funny. We got us all together. Throw in any questions. Welcome, Rachel and Kymberly. Let's start with something fun. Like, what was it like growing up together as sisters?
So
you start.
I was the youngest of four. I'm the youngest, and then there's Debbie, who is in between, and then there's Kymberly, and then there's Lauren. So as being the baby, Kim was sort of the fairy godmother. She would habitually, and even to this day, she'll just disappear for just intermittent periods of time. And you really don't know where she went, and you ask her, and she'll be like, "Oh, I was ba ba ba." So she was like very magical. And we have a great story where I was, 9 or 10, and I was like taking a bath, and there was this like big, huge brown spider, and I had like a full-blown panic attack and screaming. And Kim came in and like rescued me from like, the spider. So Kim's always been sort of the magic, the fairy godmother, the poet, the actress. Yeah.
And she lives up to that. And Grace said 3 goddesses here, so you also are a goddess. So Kymberly, how did the Annapolis Home Magazine come to life? And what was your original vision of it?
Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you for having us. Well, this is so fun. When I was 11, I wanted my own publication, and I actually made a newspaper for our family. I hand wrote it, and I had, above the fold, the headlines. And
remember that.
One of the headlines was,
yes,
rabbit, Meadowlark was our rabbit's name. And Meadowlark runs away. So my whole life, I've just wanted my own publication. So I majored in journalism, have an MFA in poetry writing from Columbia. And my mom actually was instrumental when I moved back to Maryland about 20 years ago. I needed a job, and she found an assistant editor position for me at Chesapeake Home Magazine. And I've always loved homes. I believe that they're living, breathing beings versus just stationary pieces of wood and space and architecture. And that's how I got my start. Yeah, and then I realized Annapolis didn't have its very own home magazine. Other magazines would write about Annapolis, but it didn't have its own. So that's when I ventured out and quit the magazine I was working with, What's Up Annapolis. I was their editor. And
well, can I tell the true story?
Oh no, this is what sisters do.
Sisters.
Your sister story.
Oh no.
Absolutely, please.
So Kim was working at another magazine, being, I can't remember, she was an assistant editor. And I came across this woman who was starting a magazine, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And she literally had like nothing but like personality, panache, like one of those people. And she had like this following around her. And she was starting a magazine for single moms and single dads. Anyway, long story short, like she sold ads, the whole thing, but like there never was a magazine. Like the whole thing was like this big scam. So I said to Kim, I said, you know what? Like you can write, like you're like the real deal. Like if she could do it, like you could do it.
Yeah.
Like the woman had all the parts and pieces, but never turned it into reality.
Right. That's very true.
And Kim, would, and it was literally just sort of, remember?
Yeah. She had a laptop and Rachel was like,
and she had an assistant.
That can be you with your laptop.
She looked busy, but there was never a magazine. There was nothing. And she just disappeared.
Yeah. She
like came into thin air.
Right.
And then disappeared into thin air. But I remember it was just sort of like, if she could do it, like, and like season, reason, lifetime is kind of like our thing.
Yeah.
And we always feel like this woman came across for like a reason to show Kim, if I can kind of do it, you really can do it.
It made it real to see a publisher with her laptop and
Wow. So she came in for a season to give you directions for your lifetime.
Or a reason.
Reason to do it for your life.
Right. I mean, sometimes that's how the signals come.
Definitely.
Beautiful.
Rachel's always so good at reading the signs of the universe.
Which is why she has Shed, which offers incredible modalities. Can you walk us through what a typical visit looks like?
So, sure.
And Eric, will you pop up a picture of Shed there when they're standing in front of it, please?
Oh, there we go. So there's a great story behind this. So this is the interior of our salt cave. And our LED guy, Dave Peck, if you ever need any AV, he's awesome. We were designing how to do the interior of the salt cave with the LED lights. And we decided to try to spell out Shed with the LEDs. So the thing is, like, first you put up the LEDs and then you build almost like a brick wall made out of salt. So you really don't know what it looks like till you turn it on behind the salt. So he was gone. It was all done. And I was in there and I turned on the lights and it looked horrible. I was like, oh my God, like, what are we going to do? Like, do we need to tear down this whole wall of salt? Blah, blah, blah. So I went to take a picture of that on my phone. And when you look at it through a camera, you can clearly see Shed. So people, like, it's ended up to be like this Instagram, moment where you look at it and you don't see it, but through a different lens, you see it. Right. Which is very Shed. It's just very true to sort of what Shed is, that this was like a great, like, big wink.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Kymberly,
you're back to your question. So, so our ultimate, like, goal. So it's actually myself, and then our architect, Sergio Martinez, who's a partner in Shed, who did all the design work. There is Casey Stevens, who is sort of our, I don't even know what to call her, director of everything magical, classes, workshops, etc., coaching. And then there's Ashley, who is the general manager and operations, pedal to the metal, get stuff done. So there's 4 of us that actually are all founders of Shed. Want to give them a shout out.
Yes, absolutely lovely. And thank you for the tour, Ashley. It was fabulous.
So the whole idea for all of us was, from each of our own perspectives, when people walk in, we wanted them just to feel like they weren't in Kansas anymore. So like, I really wanted the green wall just to sort of let people walk in and see green and breathe in fresh air and see grow lights and know, like, you don't need to be met with like a billboard and like the name and like data, like, I feel like we all need sort of, a reset. And then Sergio took it to the whole, ninth degree and really designed the whole space for people to sort of just get lost. We have the salt cave in the middle. We have a curvy path around it. We have benches. We have LED lighting. And when we first opened, we had a couple members just sort of wandering around. And I called Sergio and I said, Serge, I said, like, do we need to put up like signs where people are? And he just like, I could hear his happiness. He said, that's exactly what we want. We want people to get lost in this space. And it made me realize with technology, like we're never lost, right? Like we always know where we are, what time it is, what the weather is, what the date is. So that feeling of just, even for a second, of not knowing where you are, it's just a nice detachment from, every day.
Yes. And it works. Yeah. It's beautiful and stunning. And I love it. We'll come back to that. Kymberly, your background includes poetry, journalism, and publishing. How do those worlds intersect for you?
Well, it actually begins with language and the written word. And I always knew I wanted to make a living with words, using words. And that's why I majored in journalism, thinking if I can write, I can always get a job. And didn't really come to poetry until I was 29 or 30. And this little bell went off in my mind and it said, you better try to get an MFA in poetry. And I was reading.
Do you remember when I moved you?
Yeah.
I drove you.
Oh, yeah,
we drove together.
Rachel drove me to
Columbia
University.
What a nice sister.
She is the best
really
sister in the world. Yeah. 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 And it was, I had never been in a poetry workshop and just basically wrote the poems for the application. So it was a big surprise for everybody when I did get in. And right? It was life changing and amazing, and just put it all together, how the written word and language has so many levels and layers and depths and mysteries and revelations. And it just, I'm always learning to write and continuing to work with language, and it's never been exhaustive. It's always more to learn, more cool ways to say something, or to admire how other writers write. Yeah.
Oh, agreement in the back there.
Thin
and Flying Dress is her latest book, ladies and gentlemen. Eric's going to put it up. It is mesmerizing. It is breathtaking. It will take you to another whole place. And the cover is beautiful too. And that just came out this year in May.
Yes.
There's your Amazon. If anyone can write that down really quick. You can easily find it. Poems by Kymberly Taylor with a Y. Thin and Flying Dress. All one word. I have to get my copy. Signed by the author.
Yep. It's coming your way. Yeah.
So, Miss Rachel, Shed is all about managing stress. I don't think any of Kymberly's ladies are stressed. They're in a whole different zone. Except for maybe the last poem.
They're in the ether.
Sorry?
They're in the ether.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Shed's all about managing stress. So why is that such a core focus for you, Rachel? And the rest of the United States of America and the world?
So I had like all these weird health problems for, a year and a half. And I just had like aches and pains, and I would get hives and just weird stuff. And, my doctor
my jaw,
right.
hip.
My jaw. But my doctor could never diagnose what it was. I had every CAT scan, every blood test, went to rheumatologists, tested for everything. And then finally, I think my doctor was just getting like a little bit annoyed. And he said, well, it's either in your head, which I was, knew it clearly wasn't, or it's stress. And I was like, oh, well, ding, 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 ding. So I did a really, really deep, thorough dive into stress. And what I learned was, astonishing. And I didn't make these numbers up, but 80% of all illness, no matter what it is, 80% is caused by stress. So all these medications that doctors are giving us, they are literally just treating the symptoms. That's it. And if 80% of all these sicknesses and diseases can be reduced or eliminated by reducing your stress, like, what am I missing here? So I did a deep dive. I learned that, like, everything that they talked about, like, I was like reading all about my medical history. And then I said, okay, well, what do I do to reduce the stress? And again, I did a deep dive and I said, okay, well, where do I go? What do I do? And there was no one place to go. It was, get a massage here, do this here, go to yoga here, do a sauna here. There were no cold plunges, anywhere, no salt caves. So my creativity just was like, okay, well, I'm going to build it. Mm-hmm. And my background is, Athena Stone construction. It was just like a very natural next step, using everything I've learned at Athena Stone for the past, 28 years. Yeah. So build it and they will come.
I was just thinking that it's amazing. You guys are amazing sisters. Incredible. Incredible. Tell us about the design philosophy behind Shed. Like, how does the environment support the mission? You got your plants, you got your...
Yeah, so we did the whole design. And from day one, it was always biophilic design. So we really wanted to bring the outdoors in. It's scientifically proven that just being outside reduces your stress level. And if you can't be outside, the next best thing is sort of duplicating the natural environment of the outside. So that was sort of like very baseline. Like, if we're a stress reduction center and we want to reduce people's stress, let's start with the low hanging fruit. Let's bring the outdoors in. So you walk in, we have grow lights, we have a living wall, we have water. Beautiful. So naturally, without your mind or without you doing any work, your body is already going to go from wherever it is to here. And you haven't even turned the corner yet. So, and then we also did, we used a lot of reclaimed wood and a lot of natural products. So our entire curvy wall is all reclaimed wood that we got from Second Chance in Baltimore. We have a water feature, which is all natural stone. Our meditation room is all stone. The salt cave is all natural salt. The floors are stained concrete. So again, we tried not to use really any artificial manufactured materials. Just keep it close to earth, close to Mother Nature.
And I love the other feature where you can actually open up the whole yoga studio and have So when we went to look at the space, it was literally a warehouse. It was, 20-foot ceilings, 100 feet by 75 feet. And we walked in and we saw those doors and I just saw Sergio, his eyes just got huge. He was like, this is it. This is it. And it was and those two doors. So we've actually had a cacao ceremony and some outdoor meditations in the that we've opened up the bay door. And it's just, again, bring the outdoors in, the indoors out, keep, Heavenly. I can't wait to do that. Kymberly, how did you find and curate stories that inspire your readers at Annapolis Home?
I've never been past an unusual house that I haven't wanted to go into. And I've worked with architects and interior designers here in Annapolis that would say, hey, Kymberly, you should check this house out. This has got a recessed living room and, a pink, kitchen. And I get my leads from the community. And then myself and Robert Haywood, my co-publisher husband, we would scout it out. And then we begin to decide whether it's worthy of an article. So it's a lot of scouting. It's a lot of footwork. And then finding the house that has just the right combination of things. A lot of mystery sometimes is important, how the gardens and the outdoor spaces are woven with the interior, how, the home and gardens interact. Yeah. And people still say, Kymberly, you're going to run out of houses to feature.
Never.
How are you going to keep going with Annapolis Home Magazine? And it has never been a problem. There's always another amazing home, another architect or builder or landscape architect or landscape designer just doing something cool. The creativity in Annapolis and the surrounding region is really inspiring. Yeah.
You can tell just by the shed.
Yeah. That's an example. That's a great example.
Both keep those creative wells full by running such high output businesses. Like you said, the community, you got to have some magic in those brains of yours to make it happen.
Wow, that's a big question.
We go to yoga a lot.
Yeah, we do a lot of Bikram yoga.
Bikram yoga.
Shed. Yeah, yeah.
And then we went to Bali together to a yoga retreat.
We did.
Where
that was the beginning.
It was the beginning of a lot of different healing and creativity. We participated. Well, we were in the audience of a healer who was healing some of our group. We weren't actually in front of the healer, but we felt the healing waves of energy still.
Bizarre.
And we really loved him because he didn't look like a healer. Like he was definitely from Bali, and
he was sitting like he was sitting like in lotus position.
Yeah, yeah.
He was like smoking a cigarette.
Cigarette was hanging from his mouth.
And he had like a loincloth on.
Yeah,
right?
It was just like it was a cigarette that did it.
He was where the Balinese people went. He wasn't like where tourists went. It was a really remember there was like
a long line of people from Bali who live there, just bringing their goats and bulls and things to be blessed from their home, to a long line with just all kinds of things that they brought to be blessed by the healer. It was fascinating.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I do think that was a special time together.
Yeah.
Rachel's hair turned really curly when she returned. It was kind of a strange, like
it did.
You could notice it now. It's very curly.
Yeah.
But
that was so when Kim and I got off the plane in Bali, we traveled, it was like 22 or 23 hours, like in the air. It was intense. But when you get off the plane at the airport in Bali, when you like get off the plane and you enter like the airport, like I looked at Kim, I will never forget it. And I said, we are not in Kansas anymore.
We were,
you were, there was no scent of Western culture. It was wild. Like, it was almost like everything you thought you knew, you didn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was backwards or like we were modern. It was just completely different to anything that you've ever known. And when I had the green wallet shed, I remember thinking, I want people to walk in and think I'm not in Kansas anymore.
Right.
Like, where do I walk in and I'm met with something that's going to like feed me, So, but it was just like that moment, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
That kind of started Shed, at least for me.
Shed is wellness reimagined. So what does that phrase mean to you personally?
So it means take whatever you can imagine about wellness, whatever it is that you hold dear and near in your current imagination, and then just forget all about it and then think about it again. Because everything from the parking lot where people park to, a refillable water bottle to like the hooks, like we did everything very deliberate. I'm so tired of corporate America. I'm tired of like all the software issues, the whatever it is, like there's no experience left anymore any place you go. And we wanted that was like the fundamental building stone of Shed. So we wanted it just from like the ground up people to not have any reason not to go. Like there's nothing we could, everything you could come up with in your head. I don't know what to wear. You get a robe with your membership. There's no parking. We have plenty of parking. I don't want to sweat. You can go in the salt cave. I mean, you know what I mean? We tried just to like encompass all the negativity because we are bombarded every day with so much information and so much data. 1 hour a day, a couple days a week can just make such a huge difference in like your health. And you just come, just show up.
Do you want to put up the information on that, Eric, of the shed? Thank you.
Yeah.
All the information is in there, shed65.com. It is very comprehensive, easy to see, and it'll be a fabulous experience.
Yeah.
Kymberly,
you'll leave different than when you came in.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Even just walking through.
Yeah.
And breathing that the salt and getting the vibe and the.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like a reset. It's amazing the difference that environment makes, you know, like it really does matter.
Oh yeah.
And like, I'm in like this mindset now where like, instead of like stuff, you know, I'm into just like space and empty space kind of matters, and leave it empty until you really, and there's nothing wrong with it being empty. Like, I feel like people want to fill their space. We have so much stuff. Like, people are like getting storage containers to store their stuff, and they're still buying stuff. Like, we have too much stuff. So it's sort of, so when we designed Shed, it was like your space matters, your environment matters. Like, just, take a breath, notice, be aware.
Take these little seeds and bring them into your home, ladies and gentlemen, because you'll feel so much better in an open environment.
Yeah.
I actually did that. I had way too much stuff and way too much people that had too much stuff in this house. And I took everything down and painted it all white. And it's currently all white. And someone said, "Are you going to put those pictures back up?" And I said, "No."
Yeah. No, wait, there's nothing wrong with empty space. Like, we're so afraid of emptiness. We're afraid of like free time, free space, like anything. Like, we have this, we just want to fill it up, right? Like let
like
it
your
be
life, your calendar, too much.
Yeah, like literally just, it's just, we're so used to being overbooked and overscheduled. Sorry, something just happened to Kim's.
Did we lose you?
No, you have to just.
You're just fine.
Go to right there.
Sorry about that.
Sorry to make it big.
Miss Kymberly, let's go to how your time at Columbia shaped your voice as a writer and an editor.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I was in a class with some of the most creative people to this day I have ever met. And we all lived right on campus, or in apartments right around campus. And we spent so much time together. And we all were reading the same thing and workshopping our poems. And one teacher in particular, Lucy Brock-Broido, who is a major poet published by Knopf, she sort of nurtured us. And we all sort of kind of fell in love with her and began to try to imitate all the special ways that she used language. And she would make up words and try to counter the music of the English language in using Old English or different words and vocabularies. So it was definitely opened up my sensibilities to the possibilities of language and how language works on the senses through sound versus meaning. It would be about sound and how that affected your sense of things, not just meaning. Like in journalism, the meaning is, the point is to communicate that very clearly in a sentence. But with the poems, at least that were being written then, there's a lot about the music communicating a different layer of meaning.
Yes, Grace has a little note for you. She goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, talk about the space on the
page.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We
Exactly.
love you, Grace. Thank you for being here."
Grace. Yeah, yeah. And then, you know, the space on the page itself can become its own music, leaving pauses, breaking words up in a certain way, and kind of being inventive and playing with that too. So it's not just the words on a page, but the space itself. That becomes very dynamic. Yeah, like a
Yeah,
canvas.
and your poem, "Thin and Flying Dress," no punctuation.
Right, right. Yeah, I love enjamming words and
Do you have your book
hoping.
there? Do you have your book there?
Yeah, I
Can
do.
you show it? Can you show that page?
Yeah, sure. I can. Thanks, Rachel. I just stole my sister's glasses.
Sisters, how fabulous.
She
Yeah.
needs stronger.
Isn't she fabulous? I just love Rachel. She's not even mad at me right now.
Why would I be mad?
Yeah. Here it
Put
is.
yours on.
Oh
Stepping
my.
outside your comfort zone, coming to play on the Cynthia Manion Show. I have two sisters myself.
Oh, look
Can you hold it up
at
a little closer? Can you see this, guys? Look at this.
it. Just a lot of the words are compound words run together.
That is so neat, so creative. Where'd you get that idea?
I'm not
You want
sure.
these? 'Cause these are
I'm just not sure where I got it. I know that I just started thinking, oh, I can't wait to try that. And I went to this conference, the Squaw Valley Conference in Lake Tahoe, or it's called the Community of Writers. It's a really inventive, creative place. You can try things. And
That's where you came up with that, right? I remember that.
yeah, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to try it in front of all these other poets and see what they think. And I kind of, you know, everybody was coming out of their comfort zone. So I thought, yeah, I'm just going to, you know, I guess the term for it is kenning, Kenning. It's not something I invented, but it's something that it doesn't happen in language, that you just enjam words together. I don't know if it's been done in quite a while, but it's kind of the same philosophy. Like Gerard Manley Hopkins is another poet, 19th century poet, who really goes wild with language. And I remember a workshop professor saying, oh, your work is like Hopkins on steroids. And I remember thinking, yeah, Hopkins on steroids. Yeah.
That's all from Mom, right?
Yeah.
Our
My
mom.
mom, she
Very
had me
literary.
reading when I was little, this book, Poems for Little Ears, when I was 8. I still envy her library, every poet that there ever was and is. So she is my literary foundation and my current muse.
Fabulous. Oh, heartwarming.
Yeah,
So
thank
Thin and Flying Dress are on Amazon, guys, so you can get that page and see it in person.
Mhm.
Rachel, what role does the community play in Shed's mission?
So, you know, the CDC in 2023, I think, came out with almost like a warning saying that loneliness was as bad as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So, right. So that kind of tells you a lot. So we're sort of trying to become the third space for people. You know, you have home and then you have work or work from home, and that's kind of messy, right? Because it's hard to relax there. So becoming that third space where people can go, but you don't have to spend any money. You know, we have memberships available. You don't need to like eat crappy food. You don't need to drink any alcohol, and you can like kind of do something positive for yourself, you know? So you're investing in yourself. You're having an experience that's going to make you feel better. It's going to make your day a little bit better. And like I tell people, like every time you leave, you're going to feel like a little bit better, but like it's accumulative. So like a little bit better every day, and then your life's a little better, your work's a little better, you're a little nicer, you're a little better dry. You know what I mean? It just sort of like trickles in. So the community is sort of why we're here. Like I feel like we all need some place to just let it go for a bit. So yeah, I mean, so yeah. And I mean, even before we opened, we did a cancer walk. So we're just getting started. Yeah.
So what's something that people often misunderstand about wellness and wellness businesses?
Well, what's interesting is that people so we're sort of a new category. And people sometimes say, oh, well, let's go to the spa. And that kind of makes me a little bit not nervous, but, we're definitely not a spa.
Right.
We want to make wellness affordable for everybody, not just people that can spend $400 a day. So we sort of give everybody the tools, we give them the space, and then they sort of take care of themselves. So we have this co-ed sauna and a co-ed cold plunge. And we will guide you and teach you how to get in the cold plunge and do your breathing. But then you come whenever you want and you go in the sauna and you go in the cold plunge. It's not like it's, you make an appointment, you're with somebody every part of your time at Shed. So you're a little bit more independent.
Free.
Yeah. And it's a different, relationship. When you go to a spa, the relationship between the person, your attendant, and the client is a little bit different. I mean, at Shed, we're attending to your wellness. We're here to help you. It feels different. So, yeah. So, and then the other thing about wellness, and I think this is probably the most important thing, is that, I've been on retreats. I've been away for a weekend. I've had like a whole day at a spa, and I feel great after all of them. Like, you go someplace for a week, you come back, you're drinking green juice, you're sleeping 8 hours, you feel amazing. Then life, you get back to work and you get back to kids and business and mail and bills and whatever it is. And then I would slowly slip back to my default mode. So what we're trying to do at Shed is, it really is a practice. Like, you have to come, you have to be dedicated to your own health, and your own sense of well-being and your own stress reduction. I mean, if 80% of all illness is caused by stress, and that number hasn't changed with all the gyms and all the fitness modalities out there, it's not working. Like, something isn't adding up. So given that, the math is there, the science is there, you just need the mindset to kind of do it.
Let's do it. Yep. Just do it. Fabulous.
Well, Daisy loves to.
Daisy.
She loves to be involved.
So Kymberly, how do you balance editorial integrity with the demands of business and publishing?
Oh, hey, I appreciate that question.
That's a good question.
That's such a good question.
Woohoo.
Well, it's pretty black and white, actually.
There's with you guys.
Yeah.
There's
journalism. There's a certain code of ethics and principles. Our articles are independent. The writer interviews. There's no ever any input from the person that we are interviewing. We have a very strict line between advertising and editorial, and that is how journalists operate. And basically, that is what we do. So the pressures, in answer to your question, of publishing have to stay on one side.
Once you cross over, that's it.
The editorial's here.
Right.
Yeah. So it's basically a balance, turning one thing off, the pressure's off, and then going to interview somebody about their home, but then coming back, and it's just a juggling act. But journalism always wins out for me. That's where I come from. That's my background. So
beautiful words and metaphors and combinations that you don't think of. We can all work with our language, folks, just in everyday language. Pick it up. Drop some of those words.
Thank you.
Beautiful. You're welcome. You're both entrepreneurs. So what's your advice for women building their own ventures?
Rachel?
Oh, wait a minute.
So
Julie has a question before you answer, Rachel. She's asking about the.
we do not have a hyperbaric oxygen
Oh.
tank, but there is a place right down the street called Blue Zone. I haven't been there, but I've heard they're amazing. I think it's owned by a nurse, and I heard she knows what she's doing.
I heard that also.
Yeah.
Check it out, Julie. And while you're there, then you can just pop down and
Yeah,
go see.
just pop over to Shed. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, back to advice for the newbies. They're big ventures. You guys have it all.
So this advice isn't even for women or men. This is just kind of like general advice. Is that if you truly, truly believe in whatever it is that you're doing, 100%, like nobody can tell you differently, then that is all that you need. Like that belief and that drive and that energy and that vision is all you need. Like you don't need the business background, like that is, and everything else will work itself out. And that's it. Like if you don't, and if you have that will honestly, like that'll get you where you need to go.
And get you up in the morning. Yeah,
I mean, you get a little bit like when we were doing like the Shed build out, and it took about a year. I was literally working like 15, 16-hour days. I was doing like Athena Stone, which is another, business that I run, and Shed. And it was just sort of like you get in like this flow, and when you're in the flow, because we just knew, like it was myself, Casey, Ashley, and Sergio. It was just like we were just working towards like this common goal. And honestly, like now that we're open, like it's almost like a miracle, because everything that could have possibly gone wrong with the build went wrong, like literally. And but we still just, we just never gave up. We just had this unbelievable vision of getting it open and what it was going to be. And no matter what anybody said, like we heard it through that vision and that drive of like, this is the best thing ever. And of course, we're going to figure out a way to get around this because we have to get open. And it's just that drive. So it's not business advice. There's business books, there's podcasts, there's coaching to get you from there. But if you have the vision and you have the drive and you have the belief, that is literally all you need.
Yeah.
Right?
In your field, yes. In starting a publication, I agree with Rachel. You have to have a strong vision and believe in it. But with publishing, there's so many people who want a magazine and they have a great idea. However, if the market isn't there for it, it won't work, which is why 70% of publications and magazines go belly up the first year. And because I worked on so many magazines that a couple of them did go belly up, which was the best education for me, I realized that I can be excited, but I also had to pre-sell the magazine for a year to make sure I could get more than one magazine published. So I agree with Rachel, but I also agree and believe in the market. And if the market has its own truth, and because I could get the advertisers meant that we could have a magazine. So I think it's important to be grounded in your numbers.
When you're selling to your advertisers, if you have that passion that your magazine is the best thing ever and everybody is going to read it, they're going to be like, oh my God, I got to get in that magazine. Like it's contagious.
That is true.
Right? Like
that's true.
That's sort of that you need. You need, and you got to be able to like keep it going.
Right. Yeah.
And,
Yeah. And it's like you're never alone with your idea, as Rachel is saying.
Right.
If you have a good idea, all of a sudden people get excited too.
Right.
And I think that's what happened with
Passionate because
Rachel. It's like,
nice.
what a great idea, shed.
Yeah.
And with Annapolis home, like, hey, yeah.
What a great
So
idea.
I think that
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
everyone's whispering about it in yoga class. The sunrise yoga down at Susan Campbell Park in Annapolis, Maryland, USA. We're like, Shed, what's that? I'm like, oh, I'm interviewing her. Catch it on the
Yeah, no, really. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
such a great, we've only been open 4 months. Like we are literally, like we are just getting started. Like we haven't even begun to like crack the surface with what we're planning on doing. So like we just,
It's
we
so
wanna
exciting.
heal a lot of people.
Patricia from Canada says, stay the course, diligent and dedicated.
We will.
Some
Yeah.
lady.
We will.
Hi,
Always.
Patricia. Thanks for joining. So, all of those things were quite stressful. So, how do you handle the stress yourself? Like, do you have any personal go-to rituals that you want to share? Like, when you open your eyes, what do you do?
Me?
Besides we're grateful.
Right. Is that a Kim question or a me question?
Whoever wants it.
Well, I'm going to borrow the advice from my incredible friend and mentor and goddess, Grace Cavalieri.
Ooh, we love Grace so much.
She has taught me that when you wake up, you have a light inside of you. And before you even get up, even before you open your eyes, you think about that light and you let it grow and grow and grow inside of your heart and soul. And then you take that light and you get up with it and it helps you get through your day.
Love that.
And when she said that to me, I began to try it, and it just gets rid of all the anxiety and maybe the dark thoughts or the anxiety, Yeah. So I haven't always done that, but since she has said it, I have just been, and you don't even have to exercise or anything. You just think and envision that light.
So
yeah.
beautiful.
And then I go to shed.
That is beautiful.
Then I try to get over to shed immediately.
You're funny.
I do.
Absolutely
Yeah.
perfect. And you can catch the radio show, the Library of Congress, with Kymberly Taylor and Grace Cavalieri. So you can catch that on most radio stations, as a matter of fact. Look it up because it is a beautiful interview.
Thank you.
And Kymberly reads some of her poems. We're going to have her read one at the end, The Dove, I think it's called. And you're just going to be like, wow, the way you use words and the intonation and the tonality of your voices is exquisite. Okay, so Rachel, why wasn't it? I think you covered it, but anything that we left out about why it's important to offer mind and body modalities under one roof? Modalities.
Yeah. So I think we got I got a little sidetracked, but when I was doing all sort of the research, sort of my overall layman's terms about like stress and like how to really understand it. This is the easiest way I understand it, is that you go to a scary movie, right? And you're sitting in a movie theater with people and like something happens and you jump, you scream, your hair stand on end, right? Like it's so real. Like your body is acting like you're about to get like stabbed, right? Your mind doesn't know the difference. Your body doesn't know the difference. So when you're having a day and somebody cuts you off, that's stressful, right? Flight or flight, yada, 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 right? But then you're thinking about it all day or on and off all day. And every time you think about it, your body doesn't realize you're just thinking about it. It doesn't realize it's not happening. So your body goes into fight or flight, like literally every single time. So now throw in social media and emails and phone calls and voice messages. Like we're never, ever getting to a place of like rest and digest. And it's that simple. So if it's like a car, if you don't do any maintenance on your car, if your body never gets a chance to take care of its digestive system and its heart and its liver and its kidney, you're going to end up with X, Y, and Z and be on medication. And it just like, it's literally that simple. Like that, like ABCs and 1, 2, 3s to me. And that was literally why we opened Shed. Like, if it's that easy, and we're seeing the results, like people are literally like crying in Shed. They're like thanking us for opening. They're like, my life is so much better. Like we're transforming people's lives, and it's palpable. Like you can just see it, you can feel it. People are telling us. So, and to me, that means we did a good job, the four of us. Like, that is what we wanted to do. We wanted to make people's lives better, even just a little bit every single day.
I just see a lot of Shed popping up all over the world.
That's our plan. We have the first one here, and then we're going to open up another one in Maryland to be announced, and then, go west.
Excellent.
And see the country.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Fabulous project.
Yeah.
Kymberly, my little poet, do you have a favorite piece you've written? Or is it Thin and Flying Dress?
I do like Thin and Flying Dress. Yeah. Yeah. And the Vineyard of St. Helena. I mean, it's hard to say, but it's just because it was so fun to put all the words together.
And you work hard on those poems. They're not just like, just to write one. I think you mentioned you have 50 drafts of Thin and Flying.
At least. Yeah. Yeah, at least.
It's exquisite, beautiful work.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Absolutely. From my heart. What's one lesson each of you have learned from the other in your professional journey?
I think I've learned from Rachel that no matter how bad it gets, you can draw on a core of strength. And I've watched her do it and get through it. Even if it's something really tough, dreadful and tough. And no, I have seen her draw on this, this well of strength. And I've, really learned not to panic necessarily, not just, either
call Richie,
call her up and say, what, there's a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a deep ingenuity. Yeah. That is what I've learned from Rachel.
Do you know what I've learned from Kim?
Oh, no.
No idea. Tell
the art of being fashionably late.
You know what? There is, something to be said of that.
No, honestly, no. So what I've actually learned a lot from you, Kim, I don't think I've ever shared this with you and Robert, is that I watched Kim and Robert start this magazine well before we even had a thought about Shed. And I watched how they ingrained themselves in the community immediately. Like they got to know the architects, the designers, the builders, like everybody that touched on whatever they were doing, they would go and support what they were doing. And it fascinated me because they were always so busy. Like every 3 or 4 evenings a week, they were going here and going there. And I watched them kind of like plant the seeds with their magazine. And I was at their Faces of Annapolis, and I'm in, the building industry as well. And I know who the good builders are, the good architects, that the good reputation. And everybody that was in their magazine was like, I felt almost like grateful to be in their presence, like the quality of people that she does business with, and that the business that she promotes is just cream of the crop. So as we're building Shed, we're sort of, following, that role and partnering with, local small businesses that really stand out, that are really going above and beyond and really, participating in being in Annapolis and kind of being part of the community. So that the art of being late was being funny.
That was beautiful. And thank you, Grace. And fabulous questions, brilliant answers, inspirational questions. And I just looked up and it's already 7:56. And I got like
poetry time.
Okay.
Poetry time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, poetry time.
This was
Thank
great.
you, Grace. We had no idea the time went by that fast.
I know.
Boy, that is fast. Well, okay.
Like really fast. like, I'm just getting started. Okay, this is,
We can continue in the salt cave at Shed
Yeah.
you're on.
with Grace.
This poem is titled Among the Doves. My sisters and I arrange ourselves among the doves at the feast end of the early blooming field. They promise to teach us their avian lies, how to take off our figures, become ground for flowering avens, tines on the combine. All day we make ourselves into things until the slant of the red barn roof just hints at sadness, until the dogs draw near, until all I want is a sister's hand, forms that hold, not the bare high plains of the hunter's face, rough hands that close upon our hair. I want what the doves knew before they left us, just their nests, those bride-sized bowls of salt grass and vetch. They don't look back to see our bodies lined up in a row in gun-worn air, held fast in broken arms of grass.
Beautiful.
Right? You're so
No,
talented.
thank you. No, there's 4 of us, so the 4 flowering avens were all of us.
know,
All of
right?
our sisters were in life together, basically.
Yeah.
Exquisite.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the chance to read that. It's also
Oh,
one of my
absolutely.
favorite poems.
Excellent. Okay, final question. What's one intention you're each setting for the rest of 2025?
So Kim and I have sort of like this little bit of like a joke. We didn't have the best
Hey,
childhood.
darling, you can catch the replay. Excuse me.
we might not
Okay.
have had the best childhood growing up, but we are going to have a fabulous like
Yeah,
part 2 old age empty
Yes,
nest.
me
Like,
too.
We
That's
are like,
it's a joint.
yep,
It's a joint.
yeah,
Yep.
it really, it's time to like
Yeah.
grow and go.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
She answered for both of us perfectly.
yeah.
I want to thank our beautiful guests, Kymberly Taylor and Rachel Taylor. Don't you just want to get their essence all over you, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for joining, Darlene, Patricia. I forget who else. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. Share this out. It's going to be great in replay because there are so many little nuggets from these lovely ladies that you can go and incorporate in your own self. And we can see you all when you come to Annapolis, Maryland, USA. You can visit internationally and come to the Shed and
Nice.
pick up your copy of Annapolis home, and maybe you'll stay a while.
Nice.
So share this out. Thank you, Patricia. We love you. Share this out. Share this out. Share this out. Make good choices this week, and I'll see you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. for the Cynthia Manion Show. Thank you very much, ladies. Woo-hoo!
Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
Grace.
Thank you, Grace.
She's so lovely. She has like the best comments, and that interview she did with you guys.
Yeah.
And her
She's
voice is
lovely,
like
Grace.
so calm, and you just it was like a floating dance between you two in your poems. And the question she asked you,
You're
Well,
such a good.
I have to listen to
Yeah.
that. You have to send.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, you have to send
Yeah.
it to me.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about Grace Cavalieri, who was the poet laureate. I think.
Yeah, I know. I haven't even had a chance to listen to anything that she's done because I'm literally we're not on the air, obviously, right?
I think it ended, but it's even. I don't know. It says live. Oh wait, we got 30 more seconds.